When Alhaji Aliko Dangote came out on the 13th and the 14th of December to do that press briefing where he accused engineer Farouk Ahmed of the NMDPRA, I knew that it was either something was chasing Aliko Dangote or Dangote was chasing something. But on a second thought, I remember that this is Nigeria where the moment you are wealthy and rich, you become larger than life and sometimes above the law. Therefore, it would have been difficult or incomprehensible to think that something was chasing Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Rather, it was Aliko Dangote that was chasing something. Because, of course, just 3 days after, we saw the resignation of engineer Farouk Ahmed from his position as the MD and CEO of NMDPRA. And Farouk went ahead to explain that his only crime was that he didn't want Aliko Dangote to be the sole player, sole importer of petroleum products into the Nigerian market because it portends danger. Because if that is allowed, the tendency that there will be a monopoly will be there. And it will be very bad that just one person will be allowed to be the sole player in the oil industry. Peradventure, something goes wrong tomorrow. And today, of course, with the war in Iran and with the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz that has caused an interruption in the global oil market today, Nigerians can better understand the point of view of Farouk. Now that the price of petroleum product has skyrocketed under the dictates of Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Well, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that Dangote is solely responsible for the hike in fuel prices like we are seeing, but Dangote has a lot to do about it because as of today, he's almost like the sole proprietor of the life of the ordinary Nigerians. As we speak today, imagine if we had had other players who were also importing fuel into the country like Dangote is doing. Perhaps or peradventure, it won't have hit so hard on Nigerians the way it is because, of course, in determining or in discussing the fuel price, Dangote will not be the sole voice. As we speak today, Dangote is the alpha and the omega, the person who determines what Nigeria will pay for petroleum product. Dangote can wake up today and decide to have sympathy on Nigerians and he will reduce the price. He can wake up the next day and decide that he's not very comfortable with the way he woke up that day and then he will increase the price, which is what we have been seeing. And the danger here is that as it stands today, the life and livelihood of every Nigerian can be said to be dependent on the decision and whims and caprices of Dangote and his gang. As we speak right now, Dangote is the sole supremo in our oil industry because we live in a country where the government does not really care about the welfare and well-being of its citizens. As we speak today, Nigeria could do what I call the temporary fuel subsidy so as to help cushion the effect of this hike in the price of crude in the international market, which Dangote has cited as a reason why the price of fuel has gone up in Nigeria. Of course, it is not only in Nigeria that the price of fuel has gone up, but in other countries where they have responsible government, where they have government that has empathy, every of those countries, their government is doing something to cushion the immediate effect of the fallout of what is happening in Iran. And Nigeria ought to do the same. As we speak today, the benchmark for oil price in this year's budget was about $64.85. As we speak today, when I'm recording this live session, the current price that Nigeria is selling is about 94 US dollar. And a differential of about $30 is being realized. And if you multiply that by the number of barrels that Nigeria produces per day, you will understand that Nigeria is actually making a huge amount of money, which the government, if they had cared about Nigerians, would have channeled into this temporary subsidy so that Nigerians will not feel the biting effect of what is happening today in Iran. But of course, Dangote is involved. And when Dangote is involved, whatever goes up never comes down. And that is the problem that a lot of us has been complaining about. Because if you look at the speed with which the president used to relieve Farouk Ahmed from his position by mere allegation of Aliko Dangote, then you will understand that it was not just a spontaneous action that Dangote took on the 13th and 14th, but a well-calculated and planned action with other actors to ensure that they remove Farouk, whom they saw as an interloper or someone who was going to cause an encumbrance, to their plan, in the oil sector. And today, Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are going through pains. Right now, I want to ask, when the fuel subsidy was removed, they said that if they had not done so, that Nigeria would have collapsed. We have also heard a lot of times, when the president has come out, to sermonize and pour encomium, on the actions that he had taken, how it is helping them to raise a lot of money, how the government has more than enough money, more than they budgeted, how they've met their targets and all of those things. But if that truly is the case, then what is the place of the ordinary Nigerians? Because governance is supposed to be about the people. Right now, today, as we speak, Nigerians are suffering. What is this government actually doing to cushion the effect on Nigerians, on the poor Nigerians? The subsidy that was removed, I can tell you that by my own understanding, they just needed to move the chunk of that money that they were spending on subsidy from one hand to the other. As we speak today, the only people who are benefiting from the subsidy removal are those in government. Those in government that does not represent 1% of the generality of Nigerians. Those are the people who are benefiting from the removal of fuel subsidy. Whereas the poor masses that governance and government was supposed to cater to are the ones suffering. As we speak today, it is maybe the 109 senators, the 360 House of Rep members, the 36 state governors and their vice, their state assemblies, and all the people that are in government, and the few oligarchies and the elites that can say that fuel subsidy has benefited them, because when they removed that money that was used to subsidize the petroleum product for the average Nigerians, that money became the money that they use, to be sharing amongst themselves. Now they boast about how revenue, to the states allocation and all of those things are skyrocketed. But how many states can actually say that that money is affecting the lives of their citizens positively? In a system where the government actually cared about the people, before you remove fuel subsidy that will have a very far-reaching effect on the masses, there should have been some buffers, there should have been some plans, arrangement put in place to cushion the effect on the generality of Nigerians. But no, that was not done because, of course, these people don't care about Nigerians. Today, the government of Nigeria double speaks. In one breath, they'll tell you that they have so much money, this government has reformed the country and so much money now is in the system. In another breath, they'll tell you that the government is poor. Nigeria is a poor country. But Nigeria is a poor country when the interests of the masses are involved. But when it has to do with the interests of the elite class, the politicians, Nigeria is a very rich country. That's why you can see them allocate billions of naira for SUV cars. See them allocate billions of naira for the renovation of vice presidential lodge that they will not even sleep in. That's why you see them, spend billions of naira to buy presidential yachts and all of those things. Whereas ordinary Nigerians that government should take care of are suffering. Today, as we speak, our transport system is nothing to write home about. Poor people could not go out. Today, as we speak, the basic necessities of life are out of the reach of the common masses of Nigeria because of one fundamental decision that was taken without regard or recourse to the welfare of Nigerians, which is the fuel subsidy. And Aliko Dangote continues to play this ignoble role. Because tell me why. As it stands, you are the major player in this sector right now. You should be able to advise the government aright. You should be able to be compassionate to the people of Nigeria and then make certain sacrifices in a time like this. And one lie that I want to puncture here today is the lie that the removal of fuel subsidy was the unilateral decision of the president and a spontaneous action that he took on May 29, 2023 when they swear him in. That's a blatant lie. Removal of fuel subsidy was done to enhance the business of Aliko Dangote in connivance with Aliko Dangote and some of the few oligarchies whose vested interest was in that refinery. And I tell you that if Nigerian government had wanted to continue the subsidy, they would have found a way around the situation that they claim was plaguing the country. And today, Nigerians will not be suffering the way that they are suffering. You remove fuel subsidy, you didn't even create any buffer in times like this. Today, as we speak, other countries have what they call reserve for the rainy days, like today. As we speak today, Nigeria does not have any crude oil reserve because, of course, since Dangote came into the industry, even all of the importers that had their tank farms were rendered obsolete and taken out of business. As we speak today, majority of the people who have storage facility started doing away with it because, of course, Dangote came in, became the alpha and the omega of the oil industry. He's a producer, he's an importer, he's an exporter, and everything around the oil industry value chain is being carried out by Dangote. And let me also inform Nigerians, importation of fuel product has not ended. Even the Dangote himself is still importing petroleum products into Nigeria. He goes outside the country and buys what they call naphtha, which they blend, to become the fuel that they sell. Dangote is not producing all the products that he is selling or all the products that we are meant to believe that is coming out of Dangote Refinery. They are not all produced by him. They still import some of the quota, some of the products they still import, but he was very quick to go and fight off Farouk Ahmed so that he will not be issuing license to other importers, so that he will be the sole player in the industry, so that he can be the one to decide the price at which Nigeria will buy a product that they have. It's so sad and so unfortunate, but that is what it is. So to me and to many others like me, Dangote is not the savior. In fact, Dangote is a lot of things to a lot of persons, and to people like us, Dangote is the weapon fashioned against the stomach of the ordinary Nigerians, because today, Dangote's actions and business decisions are consequential enough that it affects every home and every kitchen in Nigeria. Though the people in power today, Dangote might be a holy grail and a Messiah that had come to give them a face-saving grace, because, of course, Dangote's refinery will be a very good item to use in permeating and to beautify their indices that Nigeria now is a country, an industrialized country that is exporting petroleum product. Yes, they'll be happy that Dangote has given them, that bragging right. And to the capitalist, they might see Dangote as a money-making machine where you invest your money and then you'll be sure that you have a guaranteed return. But at what cost and at whose expense? The expense and at the detriment of the common and ordinary Nigerians, because Dangote can do anything to rev up profit and to raise capital and make sure that he hits his target even if Nigerians die. Some people will argue that, oh, Dangote is creating jobs, he has created employment and all of this. Yes, Dangote has actually created some job opportunity, no doubt. But to every one job that Dangote has created, he has also plunged about 5 different families into untold hardship caused by the high cost of his commodities and the monopoly that he is playing in the Nigerian marketplace. And that's the obvious truth. And that's the indispensable, incontrovertible, fact of the game that Dangote is playing in the Nigerian industry. It is sad. Today, as we speak too, in the cement industry that Dangote came in, bulldozed everywhere, bootleg everybody, and became the sole supremo. Today, cement is out of the reach of the ordinary Nigerian. That's why ordinary Nigerians right now cannot even think about owning a home or building one, because the major item, the major material in building construction is a cement, which is now out of the reach of Nigerians. And still boils down to the question, who is Dangote? Is Dangote the actual Messiah? Is he actually the person, the savior that people want, Nigerians to believe he is? Well, for me, I don't think he is. Although, like I said, it might be different into many different persons. But to myself and those like me, Dangote cannot be the savior. And this is what it is. Of course, Nigerians are going to be in for a hard time, because the more this crisis, this war in Iran persists, the more the international crude oil price increase, the more Nigerians are going to be faced with more hardship. As of today, we hear in some places fuel is selling at about 1,400. Some places is selling at 1,250, depending on where you are. And these are mere decisions that are taken in the bedroom of Aliko Dangote based on his emotions pattern. But that's not what it's supposed to be. Every conscious country, every conscious government is supposed to understand the need for a perfect market where competitions are allowed, where governments will have monitoring agencies to ensure that no singular individual will have the monopoly and dominance over the market to such a level that their whims and caprices begin to be the standard in the market. It is sad and painful, but this is where we are. Although, like I always say, I'm not saying this because I have anything against Aliko Dangote. Of course, I like the man. He's a businessman, he's a big risk taker. But the fact remains that corruption buried in secret destroys a nation. Truth elevates, truth motivates, and above all, truth heals. And that's why we will continue to say this truth. Well, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do well to do so, so that you get the update whenever I put out an episode on this empty rant. Thank you so much, and God bless you till we see you again.